What if the reason you're feeling stuck isn't your effort, but your strategy? If you've ever thought, I'm doing everything right, so why am I still exhausted? Why can't I run faster anymore? Should you be running marathon miles in your long run? Then this episode is for you. Today, we're opening up the She Run Strong Q&A vault and tackling the real questions women are asking about running, strength, menopause, injury, comparison, and performance, from Manchester to Boston to Cape Town. No fluff, no generic advice, just smart, honest coaching for women who want to train well and keep training well for a long time. Welcome to the She Run Strong podcast, powered by Coach Perry, with myself, Shona Hendricks, as well as Nicky Friedman. We're powered by Coach Perry, which is an online running community and training platform. All right, let's touch base. Nicky, how are you doing? How is life and how is training?
Well, I'm good. The sun has finally come out in the UK, so running
Excellent
has
news.
become much more enjoyable. So I was actually up in Edinburgh last weekend, and went to a park run, and it was just a joy but to have the sun shining and the wind not blowing, and we all had a nice day out, and everybody was happy. It's amazing the difference, actually. We've had a very long, rainy winter here, so
Yeah,
training
I'd heard
is.
that. Sorry, I'd heard that it had rained every up until it was like the mid Feb, I think, or end of Feb, every single
Yes.
day in the UK.
Yeah, yeah, and really rained. You know, everywhere is flooded, everywhere is muddy. It's just like all my running shoes are just trashed. It's really
Mm.
it's really upsetting actually.
Oh,
Um, but no, we've um we've now got a little bit of spring coming. You can see the daffodils and the snowdrops,
oh,
and then
lovely.
runners are just happy. And of course, we're into March, which is the main Mad March marathon
Mm.
training season, so you can see all the runners out and everyone's just that little bit happier.
Ah,
So for
awesome.
me, I did have a bit of a bad cold last week, so but I seem to have got through that quite
Good,
quickly
good,
and training's back on track. So it's good. How has your
good.
training been?
Yeah, good. So I am. It must be 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks out from Two Oceans. So training's going and it's consistent and it's the miles are being put on. But it's good. I ran a race. Well, I didn't run a race. I ran a training run. Well, I ran, yeah, as a race as a part of my training run last week. I needed to do about 3 hours. So I ran a 21K and added on either end of that. But it's known, what's called the Sunrise Monster. And it is literally a monster. It is insane. Like it just, I mean, in the 21, there's 490 meters of climbing.
Oh,
It's like, so
I
it's
was
just
gonna ask what the
a
monster
lot of
part
climbing.
is.
But for Two Oceans, great training run. It's a great race to use as training for that reason. So, yeah, it was good. And the 20 and there's a 32 as a part of the race as well. And so the 21 and the 32 split twice on two separate occasions. And Gerda Steyn, who is our local or South African comrades winner. I mean, she's won comrades, I don't even know, 3, 4, 5 years in a row now.
Yeah, yeah.
Ocean, she wins. So if you know her, she passed me twice on the routes, obviously because they split it. She's faster, and it was just both amazing to see and makes you feel quite inadequate because she just came gliding past me, like just amazing. So, but it actually gets you quite geared up. I found my pace started to increase because I was like trying to follow her, and then you're like, whoa, 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 this is a training run, just calm down. But it was amazing.
Brilliant.
She's
She is,
so amazing.
I've seen her run and I follow her on Strava and she is something else.
She's
And
amazing.
what a
Yeah.
great thing to see her and be
It's
racing with
yeah.
her.
It's so
That's
awesome.
really
Well,
cool.
racing with her, letting her pass you for 5 seconds. But yes, it's still it does. It just gets you so geared up, and no, but it's good. It was a lovely run. I had a really good run for that. Yeah, and training's going well. So
Sounds
just keep
like it.
ticking over, and yeah, need to keep the consistency for Oceans.
That's what it's
Yeah.
all about. Yeah, it's not far off. All right, let's
Ex-
crack into some questions then. I'll ask the first one here, which is from
Cool.
Emma, 42 in Manchester. Okay, we've put the ages in. When did we put the ages in before? Right, anyway, I'm training for my first marathon and trying to strength train twice a week. But when mileage increases, I feel exhausted. How do I balance running volume and strength without burning out?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's one of the things that I think prevents people from actually doing strength training, because they feel tired and they feel like their legs are constantly sore, and so I think we need to tackle that. But I do also just want to say, marathon training marathon training's hard. It's high volume. It is
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
make you tired. I mean, I was having a chat with Ntutu the other day. He's been on our podcast before. He's one of our Coach Perry coaches as well. And he got a good for age, as you know, he got a good for age entry into London. And so he's been doing this marathon training, and he's starting essentially his block, or he's in his 11-week block now. And he just said it, he's exhausted, he's so tired, and so marathon training in itself is tiring. Okay, so we do know that, but I don't like the fact that you're just saying that you're feeling exhausted. So one, let's just try and focus on really good recovery techniques. So you really want to make sure that your sleep and your nutrition, and when I say nutrition, I mean straight after your runs, making sure that recovery nutrition is correct, and making sure that your daily allowance, what you're taking in, is enough. So if you're getting that right, then of course there's other little things that you can do to help your recovery. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing would then be just how you're structuring your week. And I think, so yeah, she strength trains twice a week, but she doesn't say how many days she's running. No.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, ideally, depending on where you're at, yeah, I would say 4 runs a week. So if you're running more than that, that would maybe be something to look at, to see if we can take a run out. Because if you're doing 2 strength sessions a week, I'm very happy with that. And then yes, the strength. So what are you doing in your strength? If you're lifting really heavy, let's just try and structure that differently, so that maybe you can have an easier run after that. And really, this is the thing, is that a lot of our Coach Perry strength, the live strength that we do on the platform, Nikki, I mean, you'll know this, that we've had people come up to us and say that that's too easy. They want to do more, and I keep saying to them, but that's the point, right? We want to do the right amount of work that's going to elicit a response, but not make you exhausted. The strength is there to complement your running. And yes, of course, we want to build muscle and bone, but
Yep.
yeah, you don't want to feel shattered from this. So Emma, I think those would be the things I'd look at. Yeah, just have a look at when you're structuring your strength. Do lighter strength before your heavy running days. And just see how you're spacing your week out. I think that might also help. But first things first, get the principles of sleep and nutrition done correctly. Yeah, Nikki, you're sorry, I babbled on there for her, but
Yeah,
your
no, it's all, I
mm,
think, covered it. I mean, if she was running 4 times a week and doing
mm,
strength time 3 times 2 times a week, sorry,
mm.
would you say she should maybe cut one of those even? Or do you think it's just really, really lightening the strength load then?
So I think first things first, check that, let's make sure sleep and nutrition is right. So let's say that's done. She's running 4 times a week, tick. And then still really struggling, then I would say look at what you're doing in the strength. So if you're really just smashing yourself for 45 minutes to an hour, lifting heavy in both of those sessions, then I would adapt one of those sessions and make it a more lighter session where you're doing smaller muscle groups, the glutes, the lower
Mm.
limb stability, your core sort of stuff. And then if you're still feeling shattered, then yes, then I would drop one of those strength sessions. The other thing that people don't do, Nikki, is they don't periodize their strength in the same way that they do their running. So if we have a running recovery week, you also need to have a strength recovery week. So I would definitely drop those sessions in your recovery week from 2 sessions to 1 in the recovery weeks as well. So it could also be that aspect as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, good stuff.
Good.
Excellent.
Well, Emma, yeah, let us know. I mean, if
Yep.
try those things, and yeah, and don't take 6 weeks to try them.
Yeah.
Like take a week and see if you feel different. And then also just FYI, just on the strength, I would start tapering your strength. Yeah, I would no more strength 10 days before the marathon. So I would, yeah, you could maybe do a very light session, but I would cut that out. That's 10 days, 7 to 10 days before the marathon as well. All right. Well, then, yeah, let's move on to question number 2, which is from Carla. Carla's also nicely given us her age. We have asked them if they are happy with that, just by the way. And Carla's from Boston in the USA. She says, I'm postmenopausal and I feel like my speed has disappeared. Is it actually possible to get faster in your 50s, or should I just focus now on maintaining fitness? Bless you, Carla. I feel like, yeah, Carla's essentially asking you, Nikki, if all hope is gone. What is,
I
what
know, I
is,
get that vibe, and I hear that quite a lot, and I just, that is a sort of slightly depressing thing when you get to your 50s. I'm 55, and you sort of think, "Is this pointless anymore, or should I be doing?" And I think some thought that's where people kind of fall off the cliff a little bit, because they've kind of thought, "Well, I can't actually progress, so what am I doing?" But I would say actually you can, and there's different ways you can, and you can be quite close to the times that you used to do. And
Mm,
I have friends who are slightly older than me, females, and they are running faster than ever. And they've structured it, they're disciplined with it, I have to say. They've never stopped and they've kept going. And so that's the thing. If you have stopped or you've had a little pause and maybe you've been a little bit ill or a bit sort of up and down through menopause, then that does affect where you're at running wise. So you do have to train for where you're at the moment, but that's not to say that you
mm,
can't see some really good progression with smart training. So you say you're postmenopausal. Okay, so let's hope that you're feeling quite stable now and you're feeling okay with the whole sort of hormone imbalances that you've maybe gone through.
symptoms, yeah.
And perhaps you have had a bit of a rough kind of 5 or so years, but now things are stable. So therefore, I would say yes, it is possible to get faster in your 50s. I did see something, I think it was even on Instagram, that well-known source.
Mm,
It
source.
it was a good doctor who was going through some science, and they sort of said, really, the slowdown isn't significant until over your 70s. If
Mm,
you can still do pretty good stuff in your 50s and 60s. And so it is about just setting the plan for where you are now and then being patient and going through it. You do need to be doing your strength work. You do need to be doing your smart running your easy pace easies and some quality speed sessions. So we got some speed development. You need to set realistic expectations. So where
mhm,
you might have run a 22-minute 5K back when you're 45, but now you're running 26, you know, step by step, 25 minutes, 24 minutes, this sort of thing, rather than going, I just want to be back at 22. And then a bit of neuromuscular work. That's always really important for us older folks. It's something we neglect quite a lot, actually. So things like maybe some of the gym neuromuscular work, or even maybe down on a track, or maybe some more strides, some more
yeah.
200s, this sort of stuff, but in a careful way. So altogether, it's just a bit of patience, a bit of smart training, but I would say, yes, you
Mm.
can definitely make progression in your 50s, and I have seen it. And, actually, I'm even training an 83-year-old, and he's progressing in sprinting. So absolutely, you can. If you were a teenager and running super fast times, you might not quite hit those times again, but you can hit good times. Do you want to add anything to that, Shona?
Yeah. I just wanted to add someone in our Coach Perry forum posted something the other day, which I thought was so good. I must just get it right. She said, in terms of setting realistic expectations, because she
Mm,
was a very very good runner at college level,
that's always quite
and
hard, isn't
yeah,
it?
so now to reset that expectation
Yeah.
now, and so she said she's come up with a thing called a PMPB or PMPR, so a post
Oh,
menopause PB. So so essentially, like, so she'll set one now, and then she's just going to keep trying to go and get and stay as close to that or get better than
yeah,
that post menopause PB. So I love that, because she's not going to get to college times again, of course, but again, just setting that realistic expectation, I think is so good.
yeah.
And Nikki, the point you make on the neuromuscular work, yes, a lot of the coordination stuff down at the track, or the strides, but your strength training, if you start strength training, that's the first thing that changes. That's the neuromuscular effect that is one that comes. That's the first thing that changes when we start strength training. The first gains that you get from strength training are due to neuromuscular changes. So yes, so definitely the strength work. I know I'm always a broken record on this, but yeah, that definitely is something. But Carla, all hope is not lost, from my opinion. Yeah.
I think that's so true, the strength work. I've not had a great couple of years. I've felt ill for the last couple of years,
Mm.
and I haven't been in the gym as much, and I notice much weaker, and it does come through in your running. So really getting back in that gym is like a really smart move as well. Just putting all
Yeah.
the pieces together and finding the time to do it. That's the thing. You were maybe a little bit more dedicated when you were younger, and sometimes that
Yes.
falls off in your 50s and 60s,
Well, and
but
family, I can imagine family, career, all of those things. You're very often looking after your parents at this phase, and your children, and your career. So it does all. But again, then I think the key thing there is not to try and overload, rather take out. So take a run out, take a, like, so we have that more recovery time. Just the consistency, if you're doing the right things, like you say, the right kind of training, I think will be really good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
I think very often
Cool.
people just get so overwhelmed. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
next,
I want
let's
it all fast. Cool. Good luck
exactly.
with that.
Next question. Next one is from Sophie, and Sophie is in Sydney, Australia. And she says, I'm on a Coach Perry marathon plan, and there are no marathon miles in my long runs. Why is this? I feel like I need to practice my race day pace. Nikki, before you answer it, I just want to say that we've been getting this question. I know you have. We get it all the time, and I think it's thanks to particular apps that are out there that now people are using that are very popular, that yeah, and between all of them they are all prescribing marathon miles, which is not our Coach Perry philosophy. So sorry, yeah, if you want to answer
Yeah.
Sophie here, please.
Do you know, this is really, I mean, you're right. It's one of the most asked questions. And, athletes eventually, when they get on a marathon plan, go, why can't I practice? And I do put marathon miles in for my athlete runners, but not on their long session.
Long run, yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. And I would say it's a massive bugbear of mine, actually, this, because I just feel when you're doing your long run, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, for a lot of us, it's 2.5, 3.5 hours even. That's a long session for yourself without putting in more intensity and stimulus. If you're a younger dude, maybe your long run's more like 90 minutes, 2 hours. So it's slightly different for these guys. Still kind of the same though. I used to train those younger guys the same as I would train anybody. And I think you've got to really sort of ring fence your long run. It's got to be a key session in the week, but then you've got to be able to train the following week and the following week after that. And what I see is when I watch people who do have marathon pace miles in their long runs, they'll do 1 week and it might be fine. Then they'll maybe do the second week and they'll be a little bit more tired. And then the third week, because often we do 3-week build, 1 week deload, they will then get to a point that they've actually built more fatigue than they have fitness, because they're just too tired to then train the following week and the following week after. And they're just in a fatigue level, and they kind of go through their marathon training cycle, like you say, with some of these popular apps that are out there that they do extraordinary amount of marathon miles in their long runs, that by the time they get to the marathon and run the race, they've actually left their decent marathon time in those long runs.
Yeah.
And so the way I would always like to schedule it is, quite often people do a long run on a Saturday or Sunday. So the day before that long run, I like to do some just easygoing marathon pace miles, something like 2x2K even, or 2x3K, or 3x2K, but something that gives them an idea of how they can dial into their marathon miles, because that's the main thing. When you get to your marathon, you want to be able to dial straight into the right pace. But I always say I'm quite happy if your marathon pace miles are slightly slower than they would be on race day and what we're aiming at. I just want you to have that feeling. But the day before, so you can fuel around it, get a good night's sleep before you do your long run. But if you do it as part of your long run, not only have you got that huge amount of distance, you've also got the intensity that your body has to deal with. And it's just really too much, I think, for anybody, really. I think I've seen I don't know. You can maybe take it. I might go off on a rant here. I feel I'm trying to hold myself back and not kind of rant. It's just like, please don't do it. Do your quality speed session during the week. Do a mild marathon tempo session on the day before, and then do your long run, practice your nutrition, do all your good stuff, but just don't take yourself into the well at that long run time and time again. It's just not going to do you any favors. And I promise you, you will not do as well in the marathon as you are
Absolutely.
hoping to do if you do that. What do you want to add to that, Shona?
No, you've said everything and hit the nail on the head. I think it's just that constant realization of well, what coaching really is. It's about giving enough stimulus, but not too much that's going to make that person too tired and injured. Okay, so that's what
Yep.
coaching is. That's what we do all the time. We're
You
like,
want to
this
get
is
away with the least amount of work for the
yes,
most amount of
for the
gain.
most benefits, but
Yeah,
without and avoiding any kind of risk and allowing for the
yeah,
best recovery. And
absolutely.
so by doing those marathon miles in a long run, you have to take more recovery time. You have to, otherwise you're just
Mhm.
building that fatigue, like you say. I would far rather have you training in those days
Yeah,
than recovering. And so what people, so then you because then you're building. But what people don't do is they don't recover. So they've got this fatigue, they don't recover, and then they might end up injured or, like you say, not even perform on the day. They might be able to hang on to their race and then not perform. So again, it's just about it's about that minimal dose influence that remember
yeah,
Dr. Nikki Key mentioned when she was on our podcast, which was an excellent episode around just give doctors don't give you, that's what she was saying. Doctors don't give you all the medicine all at once. And it's in particular for
yeah,
menopause
yeah.
hormonal therapy. They give you a little bit, see if there's a response, no response. Okay, we'll give you a little bit more. Okay, that's the right response. They don't then give you all of the hormones. They it's just that minimal dose. And so that's what coaching is. We want to give you the minimum amounts for the biggest bang for your buck. And then I'd rather have you training on the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, as opposed to you taking Monday, Tuesday off and only being able to train on the Wednesday. So anyway, so that's just another way I think just to think about it, that session is taking from you. Your cup is emptying when you do those sessions. It's not filling. And so I
You're
just think,
building fatigue. That's what
yeah,
you're building,
absolutely.
and you don't realize that underlying fatigue. And I would say that's the single most best thing about the Coach Parry plans is that we don't do that
Mm,
because, and we've seen it work so often that people then go and run their marathons. I had a lady running Tokyo this weekend. We didn't do any marathon pace miles during her long runs at all, and she did a brilliant time.
mm,
Um, we just didn't expect at all. And she just went and she ran the first half in 1:55:50
oh,
and ran the
nice.
second half in 1:53. And she
Oh,
just said she
lovely.
just felt she got stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. She was ready to go and she just did it. So, and we've seen that how many times? Loads,
Mm,
loads and loads and loads. So why, you know, test yourself in the race, not in your training.
yeah,
That's the time to do
absolutely.
it.
Yep, that's
Okay,
exactly
cool.
it. Good.
All right, next question. Naomi? Name?
I think that would be Neve.
Is it Neve?
It's
Is it? Oh
Irish.
my
Yeah, it's
gosh.
Neve. Yeah, yeah, it's Irish
Oh my
spelling.
goodness,
Mm.
Neve
Yeah,
from
she's
Dublin,
from
Ireland.
Dublin. There we go. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Mm.
I keep getting niggles in my calves and Achilles when marathon training ramps up. Is this a strength issue, a mileage issue, or a hormone issue?
If you want to recover from sessions faster, not feel tired all the time, run pain and injury free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join me in my upcoming training specifically for female runners over the age of 45. In it, I'll share with you my simple 5-step framework that'll transform your running. Simply scan the QR code on screen now or click on the link in the description to save your seats in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hmm.
It's a good question. It's my
Those
first
could
answer
be
could be
all.
that it's all of them. It's option
Yeah.
D, all of the above.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So going through menopause, you are at more risk. Well, there's more prevalence of musculoskeletal injuries, just because of the hormonal changes. So that is a concern. But it definitely could be a volume thing as well. If you're doing too much volume and too much intensity within that volume as well, then that's definitely going to cause some sort of issue somewhere. And of course, yes, it can be a strength issue because remember, we want to be strong enough so that our
Mm,
body just has this buffer for the training that we're doing. And so, yeah, so that's why my initial answer is D, all of the above. But
yeah,
yeah, so I'd love to, Neve. I mean, yeah, this is something that we'd need to obviously dive into. What is your training? How much intensity are you doing with the volume? If you are doing hill sort of work, what gradients are you doing those hills on? Because a lot of calf and Achilles and posterior chain, so anything on on your back side of your body can get hurt if you're doing hills that are too intense
yeah.
and too steep. So yeah, there's many of those aspects. So let's look at one of those things at a time. So obviously menopause, hormone changes, we can't control that. And, like that is unfortunately the concern, which just means that you then have to really look after your loading, your volume, and your strength as well. And so in the loading and volume, obviously that then also includes your recovery. So how
'Cause
much
if
are
you're
you
not
recovering?
sleeping well as well,
Yep,
then
exactly.
that'll not be
And so if you're not
helpful.
doing if all of that's, again, like they're not sleeping well, that's sometimes out of our control, which I agree with you, Nikki. It is a concern. But then must control what we can, which means we can control our training plan. So if you're not sleeping well, don't go out and run 6 by 2 minute hills the next day. Rather adjust your training plan to then go,
Yeah.
okay, well now I'm going to run an easy run and I'll move my hills to later in the week. Yeah, and just really, really focusing on the strength. The thing with the like Achilles and calves in particular, because the whole body is a chain, right? And so if something's
Mm.
weak somewhere, it's going to compensate somewhere else. But I just find with calves and Achilles, very often that's also got to do with the weakness in the feet. And we did that episode a
Yeah.
couple of weeks ago on foot core. So maybe go back and have a listen to that, because if you do strengthen the sort of structures within the feet and the lower limb, that can help with the Achilles. Achilles doesn't just feel like it's taking all that load. Yeah, so there are options here, and even I think that's hopefully does guide you a little bit. I know I've been a little bit all over the shop there, but yeah,
Yeah.
Nikki, anything that you want to
Well,
add to that?
marathon training is hard. I mean,
Yes.
it's hard on your body. So if anything is slightly out of kilter, as you've mentioned there, it's going to knock you a little bit. So getting some help with a coach or coming and asking in the forum is definitely going to be your go-to, because you need to assess before you go any further forward, if you're going to survive the marathon training block, um, what's going on and how to sort it and get the best. Like what we said in the last, you know, just getting that training sort of nailed in for you is going to be
Mm.
yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
thing, just why that coach points is so important, Nikki, working with the coach when this happens, or in our Coach Perry forum where you get to chat to the coaches, is an Achilles concern. So she mentioned calves, but Achilles is tendinopathies, and tendons require rest and load. So if you
Mm.
just have an Achilles pain or inflammation or flare up and you rest, then when you start running again, it's just going to happen again. So we have to balance that. That let's sort of run a bit. How does it feel? Cool. Let's rather rest. So that's where working with a coach, especially in this time, is so useful as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, wanted to
definitely,
show you on that side. Okay. This question is it's a little bit personal actually. That comes from my sister. We were just having a chat, and she has a friend who's training for a marathon. And so they were talking about marathon nutrition and how to do that. My sister's just coming back into running from a long time out with some personal health
oh,
concerns. And so my sister Ursula is 47. She's in Cape Town. And yeah, they were just chatting, and they were saying, well, can we help with some good sources of protein for breakfast? Just also mentioned my sister's vegan. Her friend
uh,
isn't. So Nikki, I know you are really good with these things, so that's why I'm asking the question. I said I would ask here and get some ideas, because I was like, Ursula, you know me, I don't cook, but I'll try find some nice ideas for you. Yeah. So what are your
do you
thoughts on
know,
that, Nikki?
I mean, I love food and I love cooking, but actually breakfast, I think you have to make quite simple, because nobody can really be bothered to cook breakfast.
Mm,
And what you want is almost like a one or two options that you just have and eat all the time, so that
yes.
you start the day off right, and then you've nailed that first meal. And if you
Mm,
are running that day, then you definitely want to have some sources of carbs in it. But as we've asked for good sources of protein here, I'm going to focus on that. But I haven't forgotten about the carbs in this, just so we're clear here. So I've spoken before, this isn't vegan, but about the egg muffins, which is
mm,
a great thing. And I can't for the life of me remember which episode, but I think we've had it running through a few different episodes.
mm.
So maybe we'll post it down below. But if anyone's interested, or has good recipes, pop them down below in the comments in our YouTube as well. And that would be great to hear what other people have as their sources of protein for breakfast. So egg muffins are great. You can make them ahead of time, and then you can just take them out the fridge and eat them on the go. A nice vegan one would be overnight oats with protein powder. Of course, the protein powder would have to be a vegan source, but there
Yes.
are some quite nice ones out there. I have one that I use quite a lot. And so just mix them together. So you get that nice protein fix, but you get some carbs in there too. And then I quite like to add some fruit. I also like to add a bit of cinnamon too, and sometimes a bit of vanilla as well, essence. So that's quite a nice one. You can make those pots, say well, you can make 3 pots or 4 pots and keep them going through the week. So you can sort those before you kind of, it's the same with the egg muffins. What we're looking at for is really easy breakfasts,
Mm,
just the same. At the moment, I am having a phase where I'm going through cottage cheese, and I
awesome.
decided, I can't remember where I heard, but I thought I'm just gonna have a pot of cottage cheese every morning with fruit. So I have 2 pieces of fruit, either bananas, grapes, blueberries, and that's so easy.
Mm,
And you get your protein, but you also get your kind of easy carbs and your fruits in the morning. And it's just, I don't have to think. I just come down and that's what I eat. So there's 3 quite easy ones
nice.
that you don't really have to think about at all, and you just pop them in. Um, what do you eat for breakfast, Shona?
I don't feel like we should do this, Nikki. That's not a fun game for me.
No, come
Um,
on, let's just
no,
like
I mean, if I'm organized, the overnight oats are always a good idea for me, but that means I have to be organized. I do a little bit of yogurts normally with some fruit.
Greek yogurt's not a great one. I hate Greek yogurt.
Yeah,
But yeah.
or yeah, no, that's maybe I don't eat a lot of bread, to be fair, and that's not because I'm anti-carb. I love carbs, but
Mm.
I'm just not a big bread fan, to be honest. And so I don't have a lot of toast, but if I do like toast with some avo or toast with some peanut butter and banana, that's always a good one. But
That's a good
yeah,
one.
no, I'm not. And at the moment, I'm doing a little bit of like this porridge cereal type thing, and it's yeah, it's quite carb rich. And then I actually just put a scoop of my creatine on that,
Yeah.
so as my protein
And of
source
course,
as
you're
well.
into
So
quite a bulky, hefty amount of training. So the
mm,
carbs in the morning will be more of your kind of go-to. I'm sort of training more for 5Ks and stuff, and I'm lifting quite a lot in the gym at the moment. So this is why I really wanted to hit my protein
protein,
early,
yeah.
which is why I'm focused on. I've just always loved cottage cheese actually, but I know a lot
Mm,
of people are like, ooh. But the oatmeal is a really good one actually, and you can
yeah,
really change that each week. So that's what's quite good about that. And same with the egg muffins. You could add onions and peppers one week. You could add mushrooms the next week. You can a lot of different stuff there. So, yeah. So
good.
hopefully she can find something that works for her and just have it. Just force yourself to eat it.
Yeah, no, look, my sister's really good with cooking and things. So
Oh,
yeah,
is
it's
she?
funny. It's funny how genetics works and nature nurture, right? We grew up in the same house. We have the same genetics, and one
Uh-huh.
of us absolutely detests cooking, and one of us is actually really, really good at it and loves it. So
That's
yeah, and
funny.
I seem to miss that from when the apple fell from the tree. My brother and my sister both enjoy cooking. I
I
do
love
not.
cooking.
So
I love cooking and recipes and food and yeah, I
no,
could
not
potter away for days in the kitchen.
not my favorites at all. So yeah, good. I will definitely pass those on. I'm sure she'll also be listening, which is cool. But
Cool.
yes,
That's
thank
us
you.
done
Those
and
were some
dusted.
really, really, really
Yep.
cool questions. Yeah, some good stuff in there. I hope you guys got some value from it. Please, as always, there's an opportunity for you guys to send in your questions as well. So we would love them if they're video questions. We haven't received a lot of those. People are
No,
shy, but
I think they must
yeah,
be shy,
would be
mustn't they?
yeah, which is fine. Yeah, because I mean, remember this is obviously on YouTube, but it's also on all the podcast sources. So wherever you listen to your podcast as well. But send in some questions. There is a link in the show notes as well. But other than that, Nikki, thank you for your
Brilliant.
time, and yeah, we'll see you again
Yeah,
next week.
excellent. Next time. Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.